I want to start by talking about this past season. Obviously, lots of highs and lots of lows for LSU, lots of injuries as well. And you really had to like step up this season. So I feel like a lot of people were kind of low key, like they were doubting LSU and didn't think you guys were going to do as well as you ended up doing. So in the end, you guys ended up making it to the Final Four. So I guess just kind of from your perspective, how did the team get to that point and how did you guys continue to like overcome all the obstacles and, beat the odds?
Yeah, no, definitely. Because our thing was kind of like we climb, and that's something we focused on from the very beginning before we even knew what this season had in store for us. So we came up with we climb in August that our team like advanced. So it's kind of crazy if you kind of think about it and coming up with that. And then just we really focused on that every single time somebody would go down, like we would climb one step up, like felt like we would get knocked down and then we would climb again. So we really held on to like we climb all season long and just try to get 1% better each meet because obviously we lost some of our stars in the beginning of the season. So everybody stepped up and people doubted us. So we kind of use it as motivation, honestly, kind of doubted people doubting us, use as motivation and kind of just stepped up. And it was really exciting. It was so much fun, literally the best season. So
Yeah.
much fun getting.
Well, it's crazy that you guys came up with the climb before season. Like you guys had no idea what the season was actually going to look like. And climb is literally what you guys did. Like you completely embodied that. I feel like every time someone went down, you guys literally got better every single time you went out. You climbed in the rankings despite losing people every week. Like shout out to you guys because I truly don't know how many people would be able to face that much adversity and then continue to get better. So it's just so incredible. You guys should be so proud of yourselves.
Yeah, no, we were very proud of how everything turned out.
And you've always been a really key contributor to the team, but this season with all those injuries, I feel like you had to step up even more so. You had to stay healthy, first of all, but you were also competing all around at every single meet. Do you feel like that added any pressure to you to stay healthy, but then also to go up there and hit and get a big score that your team is kind of relying on?
A little bit in the beginning. I feel like right when Kaya went down is kind of when I felt a little more pressure put on me. But then I kind of always thought like pressure's a privilege and just to do what I do every single day in the gym and don't try any harder to be like, don't try to be perfect. Don't put any more effort in. Don't put any less effort in because like normal's enough. And that's something I really had to tell myself all season long is just to do your normal gymnastics. And if you do that, then it's going to be enough for this team.
Yeah. When you compete, do you get nervous? Because you don't look like you do.
Definitely a little bit, but I feel like I've kind of learned over the past 3 years here at LSU how to kind of control my nerves and get into my little bubble before I do each routine, say the same things to myself, kind of do my little routine. And I feel like this really helps and calm my nerves before I get up there so I can be the best I can be.
Yeah. And I want to reiterate for our listeners, you did all around every single meet. You hit 64 for 64 routines this past season. Iconic behavior. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
So I want to talk about the meet against West Virginia. You got 3 perfect 10s at that meet. You broke the all-time perfect 10 record at LSU. Can you even put into words like what that day was like for you?
It was seriously, I feel like I was in a dream, honestly. Everybody asked me that, and I'm like, I don't have any words for that meet. It was literally just a dream come true. I felt like I was just doing it for my teammates because that was the day I was honestly kind of under the weather, not feeling my best. And I feel like I did another interview and kind of just telling people I feel like that really benefited me in a way because I was like not feeling well and it made me like not think about gymnastics and kind of turn my mind off and just go on autopilot. And I think that was something that really helped and really kind of like opened my eyes for the rest of the season. Like if you don't think too much and just go out and do what you do every single day in the gym, it's going to be worth it. So it was seriously just a dream come true. I did it for LSU. I do it for the whole state of Louisiana. I just love LSU and just wanting to put my best foot forward for them.
It's funny that you say you weren't feeling well because I feel like we've heard that before from athletes where like you're kind of feeling not the best, but then you go out there and have this like amazing performance that you could say is like some of your best gymnastics that you've done. Yeah. And it's so crazy that you would do that like when you're not feeling your best.
Right.
So going to beam, obviously you got the 10 on ball, 10 on bars. So you're coming off 2 perfect 10s as you go to beam. Is there any part of your brain that's like thinking, and I know some gymnasts, they don't like to jump ahead, but like if I was an athlete, I would be doing this totally. We're like, I would be thinking, okay, if I make it through beam and I go to floor, like I could get a perfect 40. Cause like obviously you're consistent on beam, but you're also really good on floor. So is there any part of your brain that was like going there, or are you just trying to stay in the zone?
I think I kind of was just trying to stay in the moment and just to do, like, I knew if I did my normal gymnastics, it would be enough. So just to kind of, again, turn my mind off, do what I do every single day and not get ahead of myself is something I really try to focus on. Because if I'm moving too fast, like thinking about the dismount when I'm still doing my series, then everything's going to get thrown off. So just really reminding myself one skill at a time, listen to my cues and just do what I do every single day. So really kind of just staying in the moment.
Yeah. Good for you for being able to do that. Cause I think that's a really hard thing to do. Like she said, I would literally be thinking like, if I get through this beam routine, like perfect 40, it's coming.
No, definitely.
Well, especially because people make such a big deal out of it. I feel like especially on like gymnastics Twitter and stuff. Like, it's something that like everyone's like waiting for and talking about like who's gonna do it. And it for a hot second there, it looked like you were like going in that direction.
So close.
Yeah.
Someday.
So yes. I want to talk about regionals. So that was a really big meet for your team. I would say probably the toughest regional, at least in my opinion, to be in. You had Michigan, who was ranked number 3 in the nation. Denver was the home team. And then Oregon State is a team that's on the rise. You can never count them out. And then you guys. So what was the mindset for the team going into regionals?
I think it was just focusing on the climb, like climb one step higher. Like don't focus too much on the big picture of qualifying to nationals, but also don't think about what happened the year before not getting to nationals. So it's kind of just thinking about that season, one skill at a time, one person up. Like they're going to do what they do every single day. And I think it was just staying in the moment, just staying where our feet are is something we really tried to focus on because we knew if we got too excited like about going to nationals and that was in the front of our mind, then it would have probably gone the wrong way. And honestly, if we would have thought the other direction of what happened last year, we kind of probably would have held back a little bit. So kind of just blocking both of those things out and focusing on where we were, being present is something we really focus on. Something Jay told us before we even went out there was just to do what we do every single day, and normal's enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You mentioned that disappointment of not making it the year prior. How much was that a motivation for you guys going into the season to like not let that happen again?
It was a very big motivation, but we didn't really try to dwell on the past too much. Like we thought, like after it happened, we thought about it, let it sink in kind of what really happened. And then right when August hit, like we were like, that's in the past. We're focusing on this season coming up, and we were more motivated than ever. So we were just really excited to get going.
And so going into floor regionals, you were the last person up. I know you said you stay in the moment, but did you have any idea how close it was? Because us as fans watching, like we knew you needed a 995 to tie Michigan. And because Michigan had falls, you guys were going to advance. So you basically needed a 995 to advance. Did you have any idea what you needed or how big of a routine you needed?
So I am a score watcher. I'll admit it. Like I do it every time after every person goes, I'm like looking at the scores, and honestly, it's probably not for the best, but just a habit at this point. I just do it. So I was looking and like, I didn't know exactly what I needed, but I knew it needed to be good. Like, but Courtney was talking to me. She was kind of just like, do your normal routine, do what you do every single day. And again, normal is enough. That's something I really focus on and something we really focus on to no more effort, no less effort, because normal is enough. So I just knew if I went out there like I did every single day and every single competition, it would be enough. And just really proud of that team in that moment.
I mean, you being a scoreboard watcher, I feel like it must not affect you because you do so well. You do like every single meet, you're just like on fire. So I feel like maybe that is like the secret to your success is watching the scores and like knowing what you need to do.
Yeah, maybe.
What was that moment like when Jay came running at you guys with like that piece of paper in his hand, waving it? What was that moment like?
It was literally a moment I'll remember for the rest of my life because it's something we worked so hard on since August, like when we were in preseason doing all the conditioning. Like we were trying to tell ourselves back then, like it's all going to be worth it in the end. And I feel like right when that moment hit, when he threw up the clipboard and like it was like we're going to nationals, I feel like that's when we realized like all of our hard work in the summer and in preseason is finally paying off. And it's seriously a moment I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Did you know the rules? I know some gymnasts did and some didn't. Were like basically you were waiting for the judges to confirm it, but like everyone knew that Michigan was out of it because they had falls. Did you know how the tiebreaker rules worked?
He was trying to explain it to us before he like went over to like the judges table. He was like, they're going to count all scores. And before every meet, he's like 24 for 24. That's like what we focus on. So in that moment, it really paid off. Like we hit 24 for 24. So we really didn't know too much. He had said that like we would be okay because Michigan did have some falls. So we were kind of just obviously it wasn't official until it was official. So we weren't
Right.
trying to get too excited in that moment, but we kind of had an idea a little bit.
We can't have you on the show without talking about your vault. Amazing. The best vault in the country. No one does that vault like you. So we need to know, what is the secret to doing that vault so well? Not that we can do it, so we can't give tips, but like give tips to people that could do it. What would you tell them? How do you do that vault that's that good?
For sure. No, honestly, at this point in my career, I don't think about anything when I go to vault. I literally turn my mind off and just run down the runway and just go. But when I learned my vault, probably my first year of level 10, obviously, I really focused on, like, I guess you guys have noticed, kind of I punch in the very back of the springboard and hit the front of the table. And that's something they taught me from a young age, and kind of to think about pushing the vault table like onto the mat, like pushing it forward instead of like jumping to the table onto your hands, because then you lose all your blocks. So that's one of the main things that I really learned, and something I kept with me forever. And it's kind of the one piece of advice I could give for my vault.
I noticed, like, watching older videos of you and then watching you like progress, I feel like now you like open up more, whereas before you kind of held the pike shape. Is that something that you just started doing in college, or like, I guess what caused you to like flare it out more?
I feel like we do so many like drills in the gym. Like I do double front pike halves off the trampoline, pike halves off the vault table. And I feel like that really, doing those just over and over and opening up at the end, like when you're not doing your vault, just on a drill, something that really carried over to when I did vault.
Okay. And so you're really consistent with your vault. You have a very high stick rate. I'm curious, when you're in the gym, what's your stick rate like? Are you like really consistent when you're training?
So we have like 3 different tables. Like we have a pit, and then like a soft landing, and then like a harder landing. Normally when I'm in the harder side, I can kind of find the landing pretty well. Obviously when I'm on the pit side, it's a lot softer, so it's kind of harder to stick. But normally when I'm in the middle, I kind of can stick it a lot. Garrett, honestly, we play a lot of games on vault, like stick games, and keeps us really excited to go to vault, really motivated. So just doing those every day, he's the best vault coach. So
well, what you're doing's working.
Yeah. Thank you.
So as far back as when we were preparing for this, we were watching like a bunch of old videos of you. And as far back as we could see, you've always done like a front handspring entry onto the table. And then on floor, you've always done front tumbling, no back tumbling. Is there a reason for that? And maybe you've talked about this in other interviews and I've missed it, but like, what is the reason for that?
Yeah. So in level 7, I kind of started having a fear of going backwards a little bit. And like, it was nothing serious really at the time. And then it kind of started progressively getting worse and worse. And then it kind of sat down with my coaches and was like, I don't want to do gymnastics anymore. Like I can't, because I couldn't do back tumbling at all. And they were like, no, don't quit. Like we can really figure out what skills work for you. Cause I was an optional at the time. I was done with compulsory. So like I didn't have to do those routines.
Right.
So yeah, back in level 7, nothing ever happened. I never fell. It was just all of a sudden I walked into the gym and like froze whenever I needed to do something backwards. And it was just really frustrating. It was a really hard time because I was so young and I was like, what's happening? Like I want to do these skills that everybody else is doing, but I really had to sit down with my coaches and they were the best. And we figured out what skills would work for me, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Well, I think mental blocks is something that a lot of athletes go through, but I feel like not many people talk about it until like Simone at the Olympics with the twisties and all that. That kind of opened it up to like, I don't know, like more mainstream. I don't know, not mainstream. Yeah. The average person, like they saw what happened with Simone and they're like, oh, I get this. Like this makes sense. This happens. So I appreciate you, I guess, saying that. So athletes are listening to this and they know that like if they're going through something similar, like Haleigh Bryant is amazing and she has dealt with that too. So
right. And also just to know that like you can be a successful college gymnast without doing back tumbling or doing a Yurchenko style vault, which like so many gymnasts do. I mean, look how incredible you are and all the things you've achieved, and
you've worked around it, which is incredible.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you ever tried since you've been older or since you've gone to college? You know, you just
I've honestly talked about it with Jay and Garrett. I'm like, maybe I'll just try one day. And they're like, no, what we're doing is working. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I feel like, I mean, who knows? You probably could be fine if you tried it, but like, also if it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Exactly.
Like, true.
No, exactly.
So I want to talk to you about being a student athlete in the social media age. Obviously, you're on a very high profile team. I feel like the LSU gymnasts have honestly one of the largest followings out of all the college gymnasts. But then with social media comes more fans, more critics.
sure.
people who think that they know you and have all these opinions. So I guess, how do you balance that, especially when you're in season and you're trying to be so focused? Like, obviously you want to post on social media and it's good for you to build your following, but then at the same time, like, you probably don't want to be seeing all these unnecessary things on your feed or in your comment section. So I guess, how do you balance that?
Honestly, in the season, I kind of told myself before last season that I was focusing on gymnastics and I wasn't going to do anything with social media, NIL, anything. My full focus was going to be to LSU gymnastics. And that's something I really held on to the whole entire season. But really just balancing and just realizing we're student athletes first. We came to LSU, we came to this college for academics and for athletics, and we signed for that, and that's what we're doing. So I feel like that's my main focus right now. I'm not trying to do too much on that side. And just really remembering that I'm here. I'm representing LSU. I'm representing the whole university. So just kind of focusing on that really before I just thinking before I post, also just knowing that this is what LSU is going to see. Like, this is basically a full-time job being a student athlete. So just really focusing on that before anything.
Okay. And now you mentioned, no, totally, it does. And you mentioned, opportunities and things like that. When you do work with brands, how do you decide what you want to work? Like, how do you decide if you want to work with a company? And then do they reach out to you? Do you reach out to them? I'm always so curious about how that process works. So if you could speak to that.
No, for sure. Well, they normally reach out to my agent now, but before I was working with her, they would reach out to me. They would DM me, they would email me. And I think the first thing that I really think about before I work with a brand is, do I really like this brand, or am I just doing it to like get the money or something? So I really focus on myself, like only taking deals with the brands that I use and the brands that I like to use. That's something I've really been focusing on. And I feel like it's really been benefiting me better because it makes me happy that I like the brands that I'm working with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. So with NIL, is that something that you like talk about with your teammates? Because this is kind of like a relatively new thing in like the world of college athletics. So is it something like, even just like as friends, like, do you talk about, oh, like this brand reached out to me, or I have this really cool deal, or
like how much money you make from, like, do you guys talk about those things?
Not really, no. We kind of just focus on gymnastics when we're inside of the gym, but obviously everybody's supportive of anybody. Like, if somebody wanted to talk about it, I would be so happy for them if they got their dream deal. Like, it's not really something that's really talked about too much.
Yeah. It's like an unspoken thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Something else that we wanted to ask you about was the passionate fan base at LSU. You guys have probably arguably the best fan base, the biggest fan base, or one of the biggest. I don't want the Utah fans to get upset, but one of the biggest fan bases in college gymnastics. What is it like competing in the PMAC in that environment?
It's literally absolutely amazing. I've never went to a gymnastics meet until I competed my freshman year. So I've seen it on TV. I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, the fans are absolutely insane and just so supportive and just love LSU gymnastics. And then I competed for the first time and I was like, this is 10 times like crazier than it is when you see it on TV. Like, they're screaming, they're yelling, they just love gymnastics so much and they're so passionate about what each and every person is doing. And they're seriously the best fans in the country. Like, we literally probably couldn't do it without them. They travel with us, they go everywhere, and it's just insane. And the PMAX, like no other. It's literally my favorite place ever.
I literally can feel like my adrenaline going just watching on the couch, like watching on TV. I can only imagine what it's like to be down there and be an athlete who's competing. It makes me want to be out there.
Yes, no, exactly. Because I was like, right when I was about to compete for the first time, I was like, this is nothing really like TV. Like, it looks so crazy on TV, but you're there for the first time and it's like, whoa, like, it's absolutely insane. It's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, LSU is on our like gymnastics fan bucket list to go to a meet.
Yes.
So
you guys should.
Maybe this season we'll try and come down there.
This is the season. Yeah. No, it's so fun.
Want to talk about how you got to LSU. So I feel like some gymnasts, they know right from the start, like, this is the school that I want to go to. Whereas some gymnasts, they need to go on all their visits and kind of visit a bunch of schools and then kind of like figure it out from there. So what was it for you? Did you know from the get-go, like, it's LSU, or did you have to go through like all your visits and kind of weigh your options?
No, I knew from the very beginning that I was going to go to LSU. It was back in, I can't even remember what year. I think I was level 7, level 8 at the time. Jay came to my gym to watch the older girls. Like, I wasn't even being recruited at that time. I was level 8. And I remember I was just like walking, going to get my bag or something. He was like, you look really good in purple. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And that's literally something I remembered for the rest of my like recruiting career. And
Yeah.
Remember, I started getting older, I started moving up the levels, and he would come back and he would watch, and then he wanted me to come visit. And I was in 8th grade at the time, because that was before all the rules changed. So
right.
you could get recruited whenever. I was in 8th grade. I went on a visit. Ashley Knapp Bugs was actually my host for the visit. So full circle now. But
yeah.
right when I stepped on campus, I was like, this is so cool. Again, in 8th grade, not knowing literally anything, but I was like, this place is absolutely amazing. Like the gym, the facilities, all the academic support, like everybody was talking to me. He brought me to the tutors, the counselors. I was like, whoa, they have so much stuff here. And since that moment, I committed to LSU, only school I visited. I was supposed to go to Alabama the next week. And I was like, I told my parents, I was like, I'm not going. I was like, I'm going to LSU and nowhere else. And rest is history.
Yeah. So you knew the second you were on campus, that was it. Yeah. That's awesome. So you said you had a visit for Bama scheduled. Did you have other visits as well that you were going to take? Or
no, that was the only one that was like set up.
Well, it all worked out.
It did. Yeah. Best decision I've ever made.
Yeah. So we had a question from a Patreon supporter of ours. They asked about if you had any mentors when you got to LSU. So was there anybody like your freshman season when you got on that team that kind of like really helped you or like showed you the ropes, I guess, of college gymnastics at LSU?
Yeah, I definitely would say Sammy Durante, because we were very similar like my freshman year, because we were kind of quiet. We kind of just like led by example. We weren't like the most vocal like people on the team. So I kind of followed around her. Like she really took me under her wing my freshman year, and she was amazing. I looked up to her in so many ways, and she's just absolutely amazing. So definitely Sammy.
And then on the flip side of that, is there anybody now going into your senior year, you're kind of one of the more experienced ones on the team. Is there anyone on either this current team or last season's team that you feel like you've kind of been a mentor for?
Honestly, all the freshmen that come in, the freshmen that we have this year, we have a big class, five, I think, 6, 5. Yeah. I don't even know off the top of my head, class. But yeah, big team too. That's a different one. But just kind of texting them, just being there for them if they have any questions, if they need anything, because they're on campus right now kind of by themselves because they're taking a summer class. So just telling them to reach out to me if they need anything. So I really want them to have the best experience like I had. So just making sure I'm there for them if they need absolutely anything.
Mm-hmm. So over the summer, have you been at LSU or did you go back home?
I'm at home right now. I was at LSU for camps and stuff, but I came back home beginning of July, and I'm going back next week. So just a few weeks at home. Yeah.
So how has the off season been? I know you've had some shoulder issues in the past. So I guess just kind of give us an update on how you're feeling and what's the training plan for you as you get ready for your senior season?
So right after nationals, I really didn't do anything. I didn't do any gymnastics, any conditioning. I took really like a solid month off of everything. I was like, I'm going to rest my body. I was resting my shoulder completely, but they really wanted me to kind of just rest my whole entire body. So really just relax that first month after gymnastics. And then end of June, beginning of July is really when I started kind of picking stuff back up, getting back to the basics and just slowly getting back into it. Because obviously when August hits, it's preseason and it's going to be hard. So just really getting myself to the best place to be successful in preseason.
What are some of the goals that you have going into your senior season? Either personal or team goals, whatever you want to
share. Personally, I just want to enjoy the moment. Obviously, this has been a sport that's been a part of my life for 18, 19 years now. And just crazy to think that after this year, it's over. So just really enjoying the moment, not taking anything for granted. And then I think the team goal, kind of just the same as last year, just get 1% better each meet. Don't look too much into the big picture. Like obviously the goal is to win a national championship. That's every team's goal, but don't think about that. Cause then whenever we think about the big goals, when we start getting excited doing things. So just one meet at a time, one skill at a time, just to focus, be where our feet are, be present, and just everything's going to play out.
Obviously you have to get through this season still, but I just kind of want to gauge like where your mindset is at in terms of taking a 5th year. I'm not expecting you to answer the question, just is it something that you're thinking about?
I really wish I could give you like a yes or no answer, but I truly don't even know yet. This has been, I've thought about this, honestly, last week is when I really started thinking about it. Cause I was like, I'm going to think about a 5th year. I know obviously I have my senior year to go, but I was like, I'm going to think about a 5th year, give myself about a week or two to really think about it. Cause when I get back to campus, my full focus is on my senior season and that's it. Um, but I guess it really just depends on where my body is, how I'm feeling after this year. And another thing I really can't talk too much, but I really have a lot of opportunities that are set up for the fall of the following year. So it's not really set in stone. It's not even in paper. It's just been a talk over a phone with there's a lot of cool things set up. So if all that goes as planned, it'll be an opportunity that's really hard to pass down. But really kind of just living in the moment, seeing what happens. Because I honestly, at this point, don't know.
Right.
Opportunity.
You should live in the moment. You absolutely should. We are so excited to see whatever your future holds. So
Thank you guys.
So to wrap up, we like to ask some fun random questions so our listeners can get to know you a little bit. So these are just super random. So the first one is, and this one maybe is kind of putting you on the spot. Hopefully you can come up with something. What's something that people would be surprised to know about you?
Oh goodness. Oh, that is putting me on the spot.
Sorry, I know. I feel like I would hate if someone asked me that.
No, yeah, I feel like people don't, because people see me on TV and in gymnastics, and I look so serious and just so like locked in. But I'm really like a fun, outgoing person. Like I love to hang out with my friends. I love to have fun. So it's like people don't really get to see that side of me too much because they just see me on TV or the gymnastics meet, just very focused and not talking to anybody. I'm in my zone.
Yeah,
but I'm right. A fun person.
What about last concert that you went to?
I didn't go to any this summer. Last summer, I went to Thomas Rhett last summer. That's probably the last one. Love country concerts. They're always so fun.
What about biggest guilty pleasure?
Ooh. Ice cream, is that one? Like just
absolutely.
Ice cream, like my favorite thing. Probably
what kind?
Every single night. Any, not particular. My favorite kind probably is cookies and cream. A kind of basic, but any kind of fun kind.
Cookies and cream slaps. I've like lately that's been like my go-to. Yeah, she always wants that. And I'm like, I'm not a big fan.
No, yeah, it's just my go-to. Like sometimes I like to try like fun flavors. Like I go to the grocery store and I see all like the Ben and Jerry's ones, and I'm like, what are those flavors? I'm like reading, and I'm like, I'll try it.
Have you seen the little Debbie ones where there's like cosmic brownie and like?
Yes, I haven't tried any of those ones, but I want to.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't tried. She's like in love with cosmic. I'm like outing you. She's in love with cosmic brownies. I'm surprised you haven't had that.
No, me too.
Twitter the other day was like, who even eats cosmic brownies anymore? And I'm like, me?
I do too. Don't worry.
Do you? Okay, thank you.
And even like crumble cookies whenever they have like the cosmic brownie one.
Yes, I haven't had it, but I've seen it.
Okay. No, it's good. It's very good.
Does it actually taste like a cosmic brownie?
It does. No, just like it. I was so surprised when I tried it. So I guess crumble cookies is also my other guilty pleasure.
That's a good one.
Kind of sweets, really.
Yeah,
I have a sweet tooth.
We love that. So if you weren't a gymnast, what would you be doing? Would you just be like a regular student? Would you do another sport? Would you be like a sorority girl? What would you be doing?
I definitely would want to play softball. I don't think I would be good at it at all. My mom played softball in college, so I would try my best, but I feel like I would just be like one of the base runners or like the people that go in for the people, because there's no way I would be able to swing the bat or catch a ball. But
you'd be like the
I would just be there for fun. Yeah.
You could be like you could be like the water girl. I mean,
seriously, like I would just want to be bigger.
Okay, last question. What would you say to your younger self? So Haleigh today, all the things that you've accomplished, the things that you will accomplish in your future. I guess if you could say something to little Haleigh, what would you say?
I think I would just say how proud I am that she never gave up. Obviously, I went through a lot of hard times with mental blocks and stuff like that and wanted to quit so many times because all of that, and just never giving up and just finding what I was comfortable doing. And it's okay if your route's different. It's okay if you do different skills and different gymnastics. And I think I would just look back and tell her just great job for sticking with it and just never giving up.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for this. This was like, you were on our list for like a long time as someone that we wanted to get on. So yeah, and I don't know if they told you, we wanted to get you on when we had Aaliyah Finnegan on. We were trying to get you on as well, and it didn't work with your schedule or something.
Yeah,
but then your agent reached out and we were like, yes. Let's do it.
No, she told me, she was like, do you want to do this podcast? I was like, absolutely. Like I listened to like all of them. Just to let you guys know. I love it. Yes.
Oh my gosh, stop. That's like
No,
so
I
sweet.
love them. No, like I just listened to the one with Naomi, like or whenever it came out today. Yeah, listen to the thing.
Oh,
Yeah, wow.
Queen, you're on it.
No, like every time they come out, I'm your first listener. Don't worry.
Oh my gosh.
God. I can't handle that.
I'm like so honored by that. You have no idea. Yeah,
Like
also
I love them.
slightly terrifying to me because I think we like think that no one like okay, like obviously we know people listen, but like I think I
Yeah.
just tell myself that like no one is listening. And then people like you will say that and I'm like,
No, like I
I'm
love
like,
it. Sometimes I'll just be like outside walking my dog and I'm just like, ooh, let's see this podcast I'm gonna listen to. And it's like always yours. And I'm like, I think I listened to Lexi's Ices like a couple of days ago and I'm like
oh my
just
gosh.
scrolling. No, love
Thank
them.
you so much. That honestly means so much. So thank
No, I was so excited when she told me that I was gonna do this. I was like, yes.
Oh my God, I love you.
I feel like that's my biggest achievement in life.
It is. Like I'm putting that on my resume that you listen to my podcast.
No, it's great.